Hello and welcome to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older. I'm your host, you might have guessed it, Bill Monty. Now, this is not a podcast about being old. It's about understanding the world we are growing older in, how we care for each other, how we protect what we've built, and how we make sense of the systems that are supposed to look out for us, especially when we need them the most. Thanks for hitting that play button. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get started.
Welcome to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older.
Now, for those who have been listening to the last few episodes and you're wondering, hey, what happened to angry Bill Monty, who is becoming the mad prophet of the world, telling us about everything that's painful and going wrong? What happened to the guy who said, this season is about get off of my lawn? He's still here. And as a matter of fact, if you stick around to the end of this episode, he's going to make a reappearance. But I thought that we also should be mixing in some of the things that I've been talking about since the beginning of the podcast. This particular portion here, I want to talk about aging alone. I was part of a conversation the other day with someone who's a senior citizen, about 72 years old, I think he is. Hope I'm not giving something away, but I'm not going to give his name, so what does it matter, right? He has been living alone now for about 15, 20 years. And the conversation was sort of going in the direction of, so many seniors are alone. How do we get them help? What do we do? And things like that. And he said, I love living alone. I wouldn't change it for the world. I like my independence. I like that I don't have to answer to anybody. I love it. And I was kind of astounded because I think that's the first time I've heard that. So we had a little discussion about it, and then I did a little research. Apparently, this is a huge discussion that's going on in the country, perhaps in the world. And it is older Americans, older citizens, who perhaps they have had their marriage, their spouse, or they passed away, or now through divorce, they're no longer living with someone else. But it's a choice they've made, and they're not unhappy with. As a matter of fact, they seem to relish it and cherish it. There can be perks to growing older in your own company, I guess would be a great way to put it. I'm guessing we could break this into three categories for aging alone. There are people who would say they feel independent, they're satisfied, and they're happy. And the best thing, based on what I've been reading, is the freedom. Like this guy said, I don't answer to anybody. I get up when I want. I eat what I want. I go where I want. I don't have to say, oh, I'm sorry, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I live life on my own terms. And I've been alive this long, and I don't want to have to answer to anybody. It's not necessarily a negative thing. And there are a lot of people who really are not unhappy living by themselves. But there can be some downside to all of this. Maybe that forms a little bit longer list than some of the pros. I don't know. Without others bolstering their independence, some people aging alone can find themselves vulnerable to, physical issues, mental health issues, not being as sharp as they were in both of those fronts. A recent survey by AARP said that 78% are concerned about losing their independence. 60% of seniors who live alone are concerned about not being able to stay in their current home. 51% concerned about being moved somewhere against their will, and 50% about needing help with daily activities. You're living alone, but there are these fears. Now, look, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not as old as the gentleman that I'm talking about from the story. But, I've noticed, I just came back from a doctor visit before recording this. I noticed the things I can't do anymore. I've talked about it before on previous episodes. These things that are happening are real. There is a mental and a physical deterioration that has to be acknowledged. And so if you're going to live by yourself, what systems do you have in place to be sure that you are taken care of? I know for me, if I were to live alone, my biggest fear would be something happening to me and maybe no way to get to a phone, no way to let anyone know. How long would I be there? How long might I lie there? If you live by yourself and you slip in the shower or in the tub, or if you trip on a stair, or a heart attack or a stroke, whatever it might be, then you have to have systems in place. I've talked about before, there are places that can do like the life alert system. I've fallen and I can't get up, where you can instantly get some help. There are other various technology systems that are designed for seniors that literally can be placed into your home that track your movements, that know if suddenly you're not at the height you were, so have you fallen? Should someone be alerted? There's AI tools that can now be used. Another problem is that if they're not watched by someone else, often older adults get into habits that they've lived with their entire life, like, eating whenever you want, unbalanced meals, or being extremely sedentary, just laying around. You get high blood pressure, mini strokes may pass unnoticed. No one's watching you to go, hey, your speech is a little slurred now. People who develop cognitive impairments can become a danger to themselves and others. You could leave the stove on while you're cooking. You could fall and break something. Maybe you won't notice that you're not really walking or balanced as well as you used to be. And so you're starting to just stay home instead of going out. But, this is something that if someone else in the house, they would say, why aren't you going out more? Now, what's the problem here? In the absence of having a partner or children or a roommate or housemate in the house, what do you do if illness or, a health issue strikes? Many people in this situation are going to have to find a way to count on a network of people that includes maybe siblings, if you have brother or sister, your neighbors. Kind of hard these days. Do we really know our neighbors anymore? Not like when I was growing up. I know that's a fact. Maybe your church or synagogue or mosque, if you go there, community groups, even paid help. The best resource, if available, might be a brother or a sister who lives nearby because they're family. They might feel a little responsibility, and they love you. Come on, they love you, right? So they're going to help you out. And they'll take over for someone who can no longer take care of themselves. If you want to successfully remain independent, you're going to need to build yourself a little just-in-case community. It's going to take time. It's going to take intention. You're going to want to have to do this. You're going to have to assemble a group of people, your own little Justice League or Avengers who you can call upon, of people who are willing to jump in and help when need be. Set up a buddy system, maybe with other seniors who also live alone. Check in once a day, make sure things are going well. This is something that happened during COVID, by the way. A lot of telephone reassurance. There are a lot of senior centers or area agencies on aging that have telephone reassurance programs. You could look into that. There are lots of things that you can do if this is what you choose to be, if you like living by yourself. But also make sure that you have developed a system of places that you can go that you can keep socializing for your little community. So find that senior center or find that church or synagogue or mosque, someplace where you can go and do something active. You can play cards. You can take a Tai Chi for arthritis class. You can do movement. You can find people to go walking with, go to the beach, go to the casino if that's your thing and you got a casino nearby. What the hell? Drop a couple of bucks if you can afford it, But do something. Don't be stuck in the house watching MeTV all the time. That's not the way to live. It might be what you think of as, I've gotten to this age and I can do what I want. No one can tell me what to do, but you still have an obligation to yourself, if not to anybody else, to keep yourself active, mentally and physically stimulated. You can hire help if you can afford it. If not, there are companion groups that you can reach out to. Go ahead and Google it. Meetup is a great place if you're not afraid of doing this. So there's an app called Meetup, and look for in your area, by zip code if you want, seniors who get together to have lunch, dance groups. They go on trips together, day trips. There are things that you can do. So go ahead, look for that. I'm going to refer you again. Nationwide, this is. Every state has them, funded by the federal government, area agencies on aging. It might not be called that. It might be called Senior Alliance Center. It might be called something like that, but Google Area Agency on Aging with your zip code, and you're going to get something that will pop up. And most of the programs that they have that can help you, there's no charge for. It's free. What a great resource. That's what you should be reaching out to. That's what you should be doing if you choose to live alone. For me, I'm not sure I want to live alone. I live, at home now with my wife and, we're comfortable. But even that is, if something happened to one of us, would the other be able to do what is necessary? These are the things that we have to think about as we age. Don't let it paralyze you. Aging is still a wonderful adventure, but every adventure sometimes has perils. So make sure that you're aware of that. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at billmonty04@gmail.com, or you can use the SpeakPipe tool right in the show notes. Just go ahead and scroll on down the show notes, and you can click on that SpeakPipe or leave me a message link, and it'll put you onto the SpeakPipe, and you can leave a 90-second free message. I would love to hear from you if you have any comments, questions, suggestions. Also, this is a great time to remind you to please, because it does so help the show, please remember to like, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're listening on, share. Tell your friends about the show. If you're enjoying it, maybe you know someone else who will too. All right, we're going to take a quick little break here, and we're going to come back with, hey, get off of my lawn.
Hey, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. It's a podcast for authors hosted by myself, Dave, and the unique thing about this show is, as the host of the Living the Next Chapter, I'm not an author. So come join me as we talk to great authors, hear about their journey about writing and sharing their story, focused on you, the reader, so that you get the best out of the conversation and fall in love with the next favorite author. LivingTheNextChapter.com is the best place to find us. Come and check out the show. Over 600 episodes in 3 years. There's a lot of great authors, and we'd love for you to come and listen. LivingTheNextChapter.com.
All right, it's time for Get Off of My Lawn. And this week, it's Get Off of My Lawn NFL. I was really proud of Houston Texans owner Cal McNair, who recently came out and spoke regarding the frustration of NFL fans trying to watch games on television. I'm a Houston Texans fan, by the way. If you didn't know that, yes, I am. Yes, I do live in South Florida, but I'm a Houston Texans fan. So I was really happy to see him come out, because I have been bitching about this for the past couple of years. But this year, it was really, really bad. 2 point. There was a Monday night game, and I don't recall who the Texans were playing. I'm not so devoted. I have every single game memorized and everything. But so it was a Monday night game. If you're like me, old, then you remember Howard Cosell and Dandy Don Meredith, all the people that used to be able to watch. You'd watch the Monday night games on ABC. You didn't have to pay to see these games. It was a given. Monday night games you could watch. Then cable came along, but still no problems there. But in the last couple of years, as we've seen these games started, first off, there's way too many games, NFL, way too many games. We do not need Thursday night games. We do not need Saturday night games. We don't need games in Mexico or London on Sunday morning. Good Lord. Please, just stop. Can we go back to the basics? Just go back to the basics of playing football. What do you do if you cannot afford to have 5 million different streaming services? Now, look, I'm an Amazon subscriber, so I get NFL Prime, so I get to see those Thursday night games when they come along. If my Texans aren't playing, frankly, or probably Dolphins just because I'm down here in South Florida, I'm probably not even paying attention or going to watch for that much. But when my Texans are on a national game, I expect to be able to watch it, because on Sundays here in Florida, they do not show Houston Texans games unless they're playing the Miami Dolphins. I don't ever see games, and I cannot afford the NFL red ticket, red gold package, whatever that thing is, just to watch these games. So I don't want to find out that on and I don't have cable. I cut the cable, cut the cord. Go back to my episode, cut the cord from the first season here. I'll tell you how to do it. At that time, never did I imagine that because ESPN doesn't have a platform that you can get where you can just have ESPN, never did I imagine I wouldn't be able to watch a game. So I had to actually get a free trial subscription to Sling to watch this game on Monday night. And I'm not going to pay an extra money to Sling. Lovely service. Thank you for being there. And if you didn't know it, they have 1-day subscriptions too. So if you want to do it, that's kind of cool. that they offer that. But it's too much work. It's too much work. And by the way, when I'm watching a game on a Sunday or when they get close to the playoffs, a Saturday, I want the freedom of being able to switch back and forth between NBC and CBS, NBC during a commercial break so that I can see what's happening in the other game if I'm so inclined. You can't do that when you're streaming. You have to stop watching the streaming. You have to try and remember which app the other game is on. You have to log into that app. You have to go find the game. By the time your regular game is back on again. So you lose that. We're losing the fun of the NFL. Years ago, they started calling it the No Fun League. I'm beginning to believe that. Really frustrated. So a majority of the time, I end up listening to my Houston Texans play. All right? Hashtag Houston Texans. By the way, if you're listening, and you have a way I can watch your games all the time, I would love it because I'm the only Houston Texans fan in Fort Lauderdale. You know, my father, when he was growing up, if he wanted to have any kind of experience with baseball, he had to listen to it on the radio. And that's basically what I'm reduced to with the Houston Texans. There should be a way. So I'm giving this away free, NFL. Take it. You should sell kind of a TV subscription for people that are out of state. So I'm a Texans fan who lives in Florida. I want to watch the Texans. Sell me some kind of package that I can get to by an app, whatever it might be, $100, $200, $300 for the season, just like a season ticket, so I can watch these games. Do something, because really, folks, this just isn't fun anymore. And I'm not so in love with the NFL or the Houston Texans that I'm going to keep doing this all the time. I got a life to lead here, Cha-Cha, okay? And I'm not so sure I want to spend all of it trying to figure out how to watch this game now with all of these rules that have kind of taken, again, the fun out of it. Get off my lawn, NFL. You're ruining my love of the Houston Texans. And I'm not happy about it. Okay, so now let's move on to get off of my lawn, the American government. So real briefly here. Okay, so if you don't like political stuff, now's the time to skip to the end and listen for one of my friends in the podcasting industry that I'm going to give you a hint. You should go listen to their podcast too. What happened this week? And we'll keep it brief. I'm trying to just get it down to one or two things. So this week, President Trump announced a $5 billion pledge to help rebuild Gaza. Now, I'm all for rebuilding Gaza if that's in our best interest, and not Donald Trump's interest alone, like to build a whole bunch of Trump towers over there. But if we were just able to find $5 billion lying around, this is like if I found $20 in my sock drawer, how happy I'd be. I can go spend it on something silly. But why can we spend $5 billion to rebuild Gaza, and we can't find $5 billion to shore up Social Security, or to feed children in school, or to help seniors who lost their SNAP benefits? Why can we never find $5 billion to make the lives of Americans better? I'm not an isolationist, folks, but I don't know why and I thought this was one of the things that Trump ran on. This is why people voted for him. One of the things I thought they ran on was that he was going to put Americans first. Well, I haven't seen that yet. And I'm beginning to think I'm never going to see it under this presidency. I'm just saying, if we got $5 billion that we found in the sock drawer, can we please spend it on us? I'd really appreciate it. I think there are some student loan forgiveness things that we could be working on. And at the very least, we could feed the poor with $5 billion. That's a lot of hot dogs. The other thing that happened this week was the opening of the Donald Drumpf Institute for Peace. Okay, stop laughing. It really is called that. And his new, was it called Board of Peace? I don't know if that's B-O-A-R-D or B-O-R-E-D in his case. But he gave the opening speech, the opening ceremony of the Institute for Peace. And during this time, he pledged to perhaps start a war with Iran in 10 days, which is kind of the opposite of peace, as far as I know. And then, I guess in tribute to our former President Biden, who he likes to call Sleepy Joe, he fell asleep while everyone else was talking, right there up at the podium, snoozing away again. The sleepy Don Corleone. It's amazing that he still, to this day, makes fun of Joe Biden. And I don't recall Joe Biden ever falling asleep in meetings or in front of the world or something like that. I do recall Ronald Reagan doing it. Trump seems to do it in his own Oval Office because he claims the meetings are too long and boring. They're your meetings. You don't like them that long, you're allowed to cut them. You're the president. Try acting like it. All right, that's our political update. That's our get off my lawn. And that's my talk about living alone. By the way, if you are someone who's living alone, a senior, and you're loving it, I would love for you to let me know. Drop me a line, billmonty04@gmail.com, or use that SpeakPipe tool in the show notes as I talked about before, and let me know your experience of living alone. My friends, until the next time that we get together, I remind you to please be safe, and though it might be hard in this world today, do be kind.
If it's warm outside but you're feeling colder, not sure what to do without a friendly shoulder, you're not alone, so start feeling bolder. Welcome to Bill Monty's Guide for Getting Older.
Hi, this is Bill Monty, inviting you to take a talk down memory lane on the podcast Tales from South Florida, where we dive into the people, places, and events that make our corner of the Sunshine State unlike any place, anywhere. So sit back, grab your headsets, get a slice of key lime pie, and come along for the ride. Full episodes, music, videos, and more are available at talesfromsouthflorida.com. Tales from South Florida, where the stories meet the sea.